Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now.
So you're going Mac?
I won't go back.
Really?
We'll see. We'll see.
Because you had a MacBook at one point in time, and I remember that video. You were using it for everything, but what it was designed to be used for.
It was a great tray table. It was a great alarm clock stopper. It was terrific.
So wait a minute. So of course, I've been following your whole progression throughout these years. But let's catch everybody up for those who may not know who you are. Let's say they haven't been subscribed to the Locker Room channel for long, since you had done videos for quite some amount of time and are gaining in popularity on YouTube. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So give everybody a synopsis. Why exactly is this a really, 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 really big deal?
Okay, well, people don't know me. My name is Lamar, and my channel is Wilson Tech 1, and I've known Chris for a few years now, and I have always been very PC-centered. For the last 15 years, I've built computers, I've built PCs, I sold them, I've built my own, and I didn't hate Mac, but I wish they weren't alive. And one of the main reasons was just the closed atmosphere just really just really got to me.
Okay,
and you have to admit there wasn't a lot of software back in the day. There was nothing.
I trust me. I recall I was using the same arguments. I think they're a little outmoded today. But that leads me to ask the question: when you say closed, how would you define that? Because to me, even the way that Google throws the word "open" about isn't really open, as evidenced by what they're doing specifically with Honeycomb. And
okay, well, let me clarify that, because maybe that was the wrong word. I guess at the time there wasn't enough development for the Mac to justify using a Mac. Even the schools who had Macs that I worked with had to inevitably end up using PCs or have both side by side, because there just wasn't the software available, and there wasn't the portability. So I guess closed in my mind at that time just meant, there just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough out there to justify using a Mac exclusively.
So more the opportunity seemed closed rather than the environment, so to speak.
At the time, now if you're going to ask me about currently, how I feel about Apple being closed, and I can answer that in a more modern way.
Right, because we've gone around and around, and you're free to make your own choices as much as I'm free to make my own choices.
Oh, sure.
We've gone back and forth on the iPhone, the iPad, and beyond. So, setting the stage for that, how are you seeing this closed ecosystem as people seem to perceive it?
I think in using that word closed meaning protected, Apple kind of has the hammer, so to speak, to they choose what gets in, what gets out. Versus Google is kind of like the wild west. You at least had a choice. If you wanted to get an app from the outside versus going through their marketplace, you were so free to do that.
Okay, so we're talking then not necessarily about desktop operating systems at this point, but more iOS versus Android versus...
Yeah. I've never... The way closed is used today in the definition, I don't think I've ever applied that to Mac OS. Because that seems fairly open. You can install any third-party stuff that's available on Mac OS.
Well, people used to slam Apple for using proprietary parts. Well, in this day and age, we've got NVIDIA and ATI cards sitting inside of Macs that are upgradable. Intel's platform, upgradable. We've got common name parts sitting inside of Mac computers. So that's the old idea of proprietary and closed. The new idea of closed is really the marshaling some kind of, I guess, protection for the users. Now, this has, to me, been Apple's biggest strength inside of iOS, whether we're talking about the iPhone, the iPod Touch, or certainly the iPad. Now, this is not something that you believed in up until recently, I guess.
No, and I think one of the main reasons, and Chris, I mean, this just coming from back in the day when I'm sure you built your own stuff too, and you had that total control. You know how the PC Windows environment is.
Yes. Of course, I didn't drink unboxing juice back then, but,
But to somebody, I guess to somebody in the tech community, somebody who has been a technical person, Apple looked like they were babying you, and I still feel that for in some instances that they tend to water things down to make it so easy for people, and to me it was almost insulting. Here I am able to build my own things. I know how to configure things, and here you have these baby tinker toys as they seem to be to me, that anybody can pick up and use. It wasn't until recently I realized that, actually you were the one with your talk in last August when I saw you in Texas.
Wait, so am I getting blamed for this now?
You kind of started this. You put the seed in my mind, and it just germinated now. So shame on you.
I'm sorry. Oh,
Yeah.
Wait, what did I say this time?
Well, I would never forget it. You were on stage, and you actually told me this before you spoke, but your sentence was very powerful. You said software that requires a manual has failed, and I've never forgotten that. And I've thought about that, and it really makes sense. If you have to sit there and go through manuals and trying to learn so much, the software hasn't done its job, because it should be configurable and be able to use by everybody. However, as a tech person, my mind, and like people in the chat room, they're thinking, well, that's how you learn things. Why are you being a baby? That's you learn things by reading, and I still feel that for some things. I think people should take 10 minutes to read on how to do something. But again, we're not the general population. The general population is the average everyday person. Those are the ones, we're just the loudest.
Right.
Those are the ones that they just want to get something that works. And I started to see the trend of friends and family just moving towards that platform, because, starting with getting iPhones and the iPads, because and I know that's cliche to say it just works. And I know people hate hearing that, but when a grandmother or a 3-year-old can pick up something and pick up an iPad, and they're just intuitive with it. They know what they're doing. That at least had me thinking that there might be something to this. It should be easy enough for a child to learn, as well as easy enough for someone at my level to understand and also be able to take it further.
Certainly.
Yeah, so.
And that's that's something that, and I'm glad you remember that. It's not something that I've really pushed out in the community, but it's something I've learned to see over and over and over again. If only because I like tinkering and I love options and digging into things, but at the same time there's a stark reality where we're entering a world where technology is becoming increasingly pervasive. And the only way we're going to see technology continue to evolve is if it becomes more complex. But as it gets more complex, it has to become easier to use. So it's this interesting paradigm, and very seldom do we find something that is both powerful and simple to use. And this isn't always the case, with software that might run on iOS. Just recently, there was a big to-do about a new application called Color. I don't know if you caught the news about this.
I've been following that, yeah. So.
Yeah, and I heard about it, and I was like, oh, great, it's another, everyone's tweeting about it, everybody's blogging about it, and I'm like, is it really going to be that big of a deal? Well, it turns out this thing was unusable. Like, everybody is slamming this thing because you need a manual in order to use it, but they didn't even bother creating a manual. And it's just so unintuitive that, unfortunately, it's lost a lot of the steam initially. I mean, maybe, they'll improve its usability, and it has to happen pretty quickly, to be able to live up to its, $41 million valuation. I mean, they now own Color.com. Yeah. It was crazy, but the bottom line is, just because something is running on a usable platform doesn't make it usable inherently. So there's still challenges beyond, we've got a device that works. It's all about the software and the usability. I mean, this also, to kind of, sidestep, Robert Scoble is kind of smart, but unfortunately tends to fall short in his logic. He asserted that it's all about the apps. Well, no, it's not about the apps, because you could have an app store with 50,000 unusable apps.
Absolutely.
It's not about the apps. It's about the usability of the platform and the viability of it inside a marketplace where you really want users to feel like they're not apprehensive when they pick up a device or sit in front of a computer.
That's one of the problems I had with Apple is that they tout up the number of having all these apps, and I'm sitting, and I was also on the web OS, and in my mind, if you have 20 good apps that you need, like my Evernote and my other apps that are essential for me, if they're on that platform, then to me, I have all that I need. So the idea of touting thousands of apps, it doesn't do anything. It's a marketing number, just like people who tout megapixels.
Right. It's a myth.
If I have what I need, then it doesn't matter. So, that's some of my complaints. But let me ask you: Do you feel that? I mean, I know you're into the Apple ecosystem. Do you feel that it's kind of watered down a little bit, or where a tech person would be insulted, kind of? Because that was my initial thing. I felt like insulted. Why would I want to?
Yeah. Why? Keep going.
Kind of what I went back just because I had all this knowledge, and now you're this thing is just like it felt too easy, like almost a toy.
I guess so. Yeah, I stepped.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think certainly there's a sheen of usability that sits atop a lot of what Apple provides as a consumer electronics company. But of course, that's what makes it a leader. You can't argue with that. It's not just about the number of shipped devices, but the actual number of purchased devices that really spells success. And I've blogged about this, talked about it ad nauseum. Yeah, in some ways, you have to stop thinking and treating one device like it's another device. This is what I find frustrates most people who switch from using Windows as their primary operating system to Mac OS X, for instance, or possibly switching from Android to iOS to a lesser degree, because I think Android is closer to iOS than Windows is to Mac OS X. Once you stop treating the thing that you're using as the thing that you used to be using, you'll get along swimmingly. You almost have to unlearn in order to relearn. And I tell you what, my understanding, knowledge, and appreciation of everything that happens outside of Mac OS X has only been strengthened by using something that wasn't, let's say, something I grew up with, and that would be Windows. So, Are you still with? You're still using an Android device? Are you switching to an iPhone? You still using a PC? You switching to a Mac? What's your story today?
Okay, well, can I kind of go rewind a little bit? Okay,
sure.
So, all right, I was always against the tablets, and this had nothing to do with Apple. And I said this publicly in my videos and on my podcast. Had nothing to do with Apple. I did not see a place for the tablet. It really irritated me that this was out, and I'd say, why does this exist? And I have a perfectly good laptop, which actually is kind of falling apart now. But so at work, I work with school districts, and and I consult with them, and a lot of the schools had iPads. They were one of the Steve Jobs talked about Chicago in the keynote, and those are some of the schools I work with. So they had iPads, and the administrators who went to the schools, they would carry the iPads and they use it for email, and I would watch them, like they really enjoy it. These are people who really don't even touch technology, and I guess part of me was from a business point of view. I felt, wow, well, if this is in my line of work, I'm a tech consultant. How can I be a consultant and I don't know anything about this? So it was very, very begrudgingly. I said, okay, I'm gonna look into the tablets. I looked into the Android ones, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it on record. I don't care what kind of heat I get. Android tablets suck.
Now, you're saying that based on what experience?
Based on me actually playing with them in the store. I took time with them. I'll put it this way: I went in and because
you can't just spend your money on everything that comes out. I mean, we're like the same line of thinking. You can't always review things just by buying everything. You'd be put in the poorhouse.
But so I went in. I spent some time at a Verizon store and played with the Zoom. But even before that, it just looked. And I have an Android phone. I have a Nexus One. I've had Android for the last couple of years, so I don't have anything against Android. It's just the tablet seemed so confusing, and I know what I'm doing on Android. I walked in and held the Zoom in my hand, and I didn't know what to do. There's like the widgets were everywhere, and it just didn't seem intuitive, and it felt bulky, and I just felt a little lost on it. And again, I'm an Android user, and I was like, if I feel this way, my God, how can the user, how do they feel?
Now see, Lamar, I'm going to underscore a certain, or I guess highlight, because I can't really underscore, like, in video, a word that you use that, at one point in time, I really didn't understand. As a typical PC user, I didn't want to feel anything towards my computer. I didn't want to feel a phone. I wanted to feel it in my hands and possibly feel the keyboard and the mouse or whatever I was using.
Yeah.
But that's as much as I wanted to feel. And it's interesting you should bring up that word, and I honestly believe this is what separates those who see form, as something completely separate from function.
Okay.
The two have to come together. It's not just the functionality of the device. It's not just that, you could tether an Android device. That's awesome. Is the average user going to be able to figure it out? Well, in certain respects with Android, yeah, it was easy to figure out. Back in the day, certainly before Android, it was a kludge. You could do it, but it was painful. And even to a certain degree today, if that software experience doesn't live up to that expectation, we do feel something, and unfortunately what we might feel is apprehension. Mm-hmm. And so even if someone has that disconnect, that mental disconnect, and it seems to be that loudmouth geeks seem to have this disconnect. Well, if I can figure it out, anybody else can, or don't be stupid. And,
yeah, we're very closed-minded.
And geeks tend to have that personality. We find something that we like and we stick with it. It's very difficult to be an open-minded geek, and I think every geek should be able to admit that. Unfortunately, what happens is a geek might project their decisions onto your decisions and call you out and say bad things about you because you made a different decision than they did.
Oh, if you saw the comments on my video today, yeah.
Okay, in this video, this is to sidestep. Okay, now that we've kind of, I don't know if we really want to, bury Android tablets at this point or
no. I wanted to continue with that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so it's not. I'm not automatically anti-Android.
No,
again,
nor am I. Nor am I. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I still have a device. I think it's a great operating system. I love that you can get everything over the air. As has those advantages. But the tablet just didn't. It's like if I was going to get my first tablet, it's not going to be this.
It's immature as of yet. It's immature as an operating system.
Yeah. So I said, you know what? I need to get a tablet. So I went on. I bought a code. I bought the iPad code. I stood in line in the code. I had to do the whole experience.
So you got a 2.
I did. I did get a 2.
You see, I got one. I don't know if I'm going to give it away or I got an extra one.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the 64 gig 3G. I just got it today. I already have one.
Dude, I should switch with you. I have the 32 gig.
No, I had it on order, and I've got, of course, the one I unboxed and reviewed and everything. But I don't know what I'm going to do with the other iPad now. I'm thinking about giving it away to someone who's going to help us redesign Locker Gnome and Chris.Perlo.com. I think that's
a good incentive.
I figured, let's make it a big win for the community.
Or somebody who did videos for almost a year on your channel.
Right. Even though you already have one. So you went out and you spent your own money.
Oh, no, I wasn't sponsored or anything like this. This is my hard-earned money, and I got it. And Chris, I know people say this, and I know it's cliche, but in all honesty, I've never touched an iOS device before. I never played with an iPhone.
Really?
Never played with an iPhone. No. Within 10, 15 minutes, I knew everything about iOS. I'm serious. And it hasn't been that case with Android. I understood. So the part of me was like, okay, this is kind of baby-like in the sense that anybody can pick this up. Because I remember when we were at Texas, we were at the restaurant. You tried your hardest. You kept showing me games and different apps trying to get me to play that iPad, and I hated you for it. You just kept trying to get me to play this thing. But I started playing with it. I fell in love. And the more I started playing with it, I said, ooh, I can use it for this at work. Or I can take it with me to this school versus taking my laptop. And now I use it. I go around and I do, when I do classroom observations or I'm teaching, it's in my hand as a real tablet. I used to buy those actual laptops that converted into a tablet.
Yeah, the tablet PCs.
Yeah, those honky things are heavy and they were hot. And with the pen, it was just hard to use. This has been I don't even take my laptop, to work anymore.
Yeah.
I'm in the living room and I'm playing on Flipboard, which is my favorite app. I mean, seriously, it's like the best app in the world. I don't know.
It's a good app.
I do my Google Reader through there. So I'm watching TV. I do that. I see a video. Pop it on, flip it to the Apple TV. Yeah, I did buy one of those too because I wanted to connect.
Okay, see here. So you've gone from 0 to Apple in how many days?
Oh, I know.
Like, boom. Well, because it's easy and it works. That's
yeah. The synergy of all the things work. And look, I was a hardcore anti-Apple guy. So,
I know.
So if I was willing to at least test it out. And I think a lot of technology geeks who are in your chat room and those who watch your videos, just like I did, you have to close mind. You don't take a moment to try something. I think it's fear that you might like it, and I think that's what it comes down to. And I fully admit that was my fear, that I would enjoy this and then I'd be like all the other geeks who have come. Remember, I was at Gnomedex 08, dude. It was like me. I think maybe Scoble. He might have had a PC. It was like 3 of us who had PCs. Everybody had Macs in the room. It was my first tech conference. I felt so out of it. I had my little Toshiba laptop, and everybody has an Apple device. And I started to realize, I want to be different. I want to be, I want to be the anti guy who.
See, that's funny because remember how Apple used to be the thing that was different.
Yeah,
now it seems to be the thing that's leading the pack.
Yeah, it's turning tables. It doesn't really matter that PCs have a greater market share or they're in markets.
But see, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not just about that because I've seen this as have many other people. Android is certainly going to overtake the amount of iOS devices. I mean, it's inevitable. That's the same reason why we see far more PCs in the marketplace than we do Macs. Now, the question is, has that made Apple any less profitable? The answer is no. It's made it far more profitable. Apple could, likely buy Dell outright in cash today. Just here, I'd like to buy you, and they could do that. They won't, but that it's not always about just the raw market share or the amount of devices that you have in the field. Number one does not always mean number one. And I've said this over.
You said that before, yeah.
I blogged about it. I said, I can tell you about so many products out there, services, products, whatever, that are number one, but they ain't number one.
Exactly.
So that's it's a number. It's relative. And I think if anything, whether a user, a geek, wants an iOS device or even likes an iOS device or what Apple provides, they cannot deny that Apple has moved the bar so far forward. Every single person who buys a non-Apple tablet has Apple to thank for the price point. Because if you notice what's been happening, right? Prices have been they've been sliding down to that magic $500 mark. I guarantee, without Apple, that wouldn't have happened.
Well, you see what the Zoom did with the before Apple announced their price, and they were $800 with the contract. I mean,
it's worse. What? It's worse. The Zoom had so much potential.
It really. That's what I'm saying. I'm not negative on it. It's a powerful device spec wise.
Oh yeah,
much better than.
But I tell you what, Lamar. Specs. They mean a lot, but they don't mean everything. You could have something specced out the wazoo. If it doesn't work, what use is the specs? If you got to send the device back to get an upgrade, are you kidding me?
I've actually made fun of that and having an Android device because I think
Lamar, come on, dude. How can anybody defend that?
But no, Chris, one of my friends did actually one of your screencasters. His reason was I should be grateful that they're putting 4G in here anyway. So it's a privilege.
Wow. All right, and people make fun of Apple users for buying everything that Apple makes. Wow. Yeah. Come on, dude. That's blind.
But dude, okay, so my philosophy on the transition, especially with Android more so, was that I've been feeling like for the last couple of years that I've been a beta tester, and I didn't mind that for a while. And Android was raw. I didn't mind helping them through it. I have the signage and mod in my I help the community with that. I've gotten to a point where I don't have that kind of money to just keep burning I'm tired of beta testing products, and I've said that in one of my videos that the tablets. Well, that was the finishing point. I looked at that Zoom, I looked at the Galaxy tabs. I was like, you know what? I'm not beta testing any more of these products. I need something that works because I have to get to work on this right away with the work I do to make me more money so I can live. I can't keep beta testing stuff. So I felt like with Google is great engineer-wise. They're brilliant. They have no concept of the marketing and design and to make things work. They have all of the components. I think about what they have for social media. Don't you know they have every component to make a Facebook? Sure. They have the Picasa. They have the Buzz. They have every single component. They can't put it together
right
under one roof. That's what I mean. There's a detachment.
Google's in one business, and that's selling ads. And whatever it's going to take to sell ads is all they're going to do, and everything else comes second. Apple's in the business of selling an experience. And everything else is second. Well, the beautiful thing about selling an experience is you end up with something that works. Mm-hmm. Stem to stern. And Microsoft's in a completely different camp, altogether. And they're still struggling, to regain relevance where it was really stripped away. I mean, you go to talk about those tablet PCs, the convertibles, or whether they were slate-based or whatever. Apple sold more first-gen iPads than all the tablet PCs combined. Ever from across the ecosystem.
Yeah, for how much I paid for my old tablet PC, I just want
insane.
It was close to $3,000 bucks.
You always paid a premium for something that worked well enough, but ultimately, this is why I laughed even back, well over a year ago when there was talk about Windows, shipping on a tablet type of device that was more like an iPad. I'm like, it's not going to work. Windows was not built with touch in mind. Now, I'm telling you, Lamar, I would love to see a Windows Phone 7, which, again, one of the worst names for an operating system
Let's not go
history.
there.
And Microsoft has a great, this is what it's a Windows Phone 7. That's what it is. Well, I guess they're right. That's exactly what it is. They're not going to win any awards, for naming. But I would kill to see Windows Phone 7 operating system, or like operating system, something optimized for touch, on a tablet-like device. And Microsoft, they'd be insane not to get something out the door. Branded Microsoft, just like they did with the Zune players. Branded Microsoft. Sell these tablets. Lamar, I'd buy one. I'm telling you right now, I would buy one. Because if Microsoft controlled the hardware, the software, and that entire experience, I'd absolutely buy one. Yeah, I would love to see that experience.
At your house was the first time I played with a Touch Smart. That the one you have downstairs.
The HP.
And even that, I mean, it's touch interface, but you're right. It's HP created something over it to make it friendly.
Yeah,
and it's just
lipstick on a pig.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good piece of hardware. Unfortunately, it's crippled by the fact that the operating system and the software is not designed for that kind of experience.
And that's why I'm so glad they killed Windows Mobile, because I own Trios for years. That's all I use. And as much as they try to put touch into it, it's just the architecture underneath it. There was layer upon layer. It was not ever designed for touch.
Yeah.
You can go 2 menus in and you have to use the pins.
Right, so. And that would ultimately be its failings. I mean, across the board. So now we've slagged on tablets. Nothing new there, and I'm sure we'll get a lot of hate. We're going to get it anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But, here's the thing. Fast forward, a couple years, trust me, we're right. Just trust me on this, Lamar. We're right. I mean, if you rewind and look back at some of the videos I did earlier, I don't think there may be 3 people in the entire world who actually liked Windows Vista. I was absolutely not one of them. And I put my own reputation on the line. It stayed intact. I was right. And I'm telling you, this is the way the industry's going.
I'm going to be honest about that. When you're a Windows fan, when you've used it, we did everything possible to justify it being good. And I knew I was lying to myself because I had it and I had to make it work. But God, I would scream and almost pull my little hair out that's up here at the problems that it had. So Windows 7 was so refreshing. But I felt like
7
I had to buy operating system twice to get it to work. I was pissed.
Oh, well, yeah, because you're spending your money.
Yeah, exactly.
But and just to slide that in there, I think 7 is amazing, and I've told everybody who's got XP, Get 7, no questions asked. XP is like what, over a decade old? I mean, who would have a mobile phone that was a decade old? Okay, I mean that's the equivalent of running that on the desktop. Is just it's you're crazy. You're crazy.
The problem with Microsoft is, as much as I respect them as a company, they don't have the guts to do what Apple does. Apple says, no, this is it. We're moving on to the next one. You come along. When they're still holding on to that XP audience,
because they have to.
Explorer, I know
they have to because they've got a completely Microsoft's all about enterprise. I mean, trust me, consumers secondary. I mean, Xbox is a great exception. That's and I've been applauding Xbox.
It's not really making them that much money, but it's one of the best devices they make.
I'm sure Microsoft has several loss leaders, but the idea that Microsoft could move Windows at the same speed as OS X is laughable because of number one, the market share that ultimately keeps them back. So just because this is again to say that market share isn't everything, it's because of that amount of market share that you could not advance anything faster than your consumers could keep up with, or your customers, I should say, not just consumers, to separate that from enterprise.
Absolutely.
I'm a big fan of Windows 7. I've said it before. I've done videos on it. If I didn't believe it was a good product, I wouldn't be suggesting it. I'm saying that just, because it doesn't matter, what I do or how many videos I upload about Windows 7, because I've uploaded, 10 in the past 2 weeks. People will ultimately say that, I'm swayed one way or another. No, a good product is a good product is a good product.
You can.
So then based on that, I get this random email from you this past weekend. It was a shock. Don't tell anybody. So the reason for this video, of course, in the video you just uploaded, you're now using an iMac as your primary desktop PC.
My God,
I called it a PC for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so you're using this now.
Yeah, it's what I'm talking on now. It was, trust me, it was a big transition. So much so, I bought this 9 days ago, and I've been testing it out, and I bought it from Fry's like last Saturday, like I said, about 8-9 days ago, and it's been sitting over here on the side, so no one in my videos could ever see it, which is perfect. I told like 3 people. I even texted you from the store. You didn't message me back, but I texted you from the store. I said, dude, I'm about to buy this thing. Should I do this?
Really? I didn't get that.
Yeah, but okay. So one of the main reasons, it's not that it wasn't an emotional thing. I have been feeling.
Well, people buy on emotion. Just FYI, every person buys on emotion.
Okay. Yeah, so. It wasn't an impulse buy.
Right.
Okay. There was definitely some emotion with it. I got for the past few months, I have been, I built my own PC, but it's been chugging along and slowing down. I've been having glitches a little bit with Windows 7, and I do videos every day, and the software is slowing down, and I built it almost 2 years ago, so I knew it was time to upgrade. But I had already determined in my mind that I'm done building a computer. So I'm buying somebody's built computer. I'm just 15 years, Chris. I've been building my own. Tired. I was just tired of doing it. So, and of course, all the YouTubers that I talk to and I associate with, they're all using Apple's, iMacs and MacBook Pros, and So what I did, that MacBook you told me that you remembered I had from work. There was never mine. It was just borrowing it from work. So I
thought that was yours. Oh, okay.
No. It was a loan from work, from the school district. So I asked them if I can borrow it again about 3-4 weeks ago. And because I knew I needed to get to know the software. And I said, let me get to know it. I started using it over the weekend, and I loved it. Like, the greatest thing to me was the menu bar. And of the weirdest things. Like, to me, that clicked because, some of the plugins that I have in Chrome, like for my Google Voice and for weather and stuff, they're great, but they require the browser to be open. Here, I have all the little plugins right at the top. I know that sounds silly.
Oh, you mean the add-ons for the menu bar? Okay. Yeah, but you could get those admittedly for, like, let's say the system tray for Windows too.
Yeah, you could. I don't know. It just seemed like it was a lot better. The operating system, I started to understand it. The one thing I didn't like about the computer was that it was a 2007 MacBook, so it was really slow. Like, Safari was barely coming.
Sure, I think it would have probably been Well, it would have been Intel, but it probably would have been a Core Duo, if anything.
Yeah, it was a Core Duo 1 gig RAM. I said, you know what? If I'm going to really judge Mac fairly, I need to have one that can actually fly and do what I need to do. So, I thought about it long and hard. I said, okay, what I'll do is I'll get a Mac. I'll put it to the side because I was going to get a Mac Mini, and I said, no, I need something more powerful. So I put it to the side, and I start using it in tandem, going back and forth. And at first, I got the 27-inch. So the first few days, my eyes were burning because this.
Did the software I sent you? Did that help screen shade? The freeware?
Yeah, it did. So that helped alleviate some of that. But I just like some of the. It's kind of hard to explain. It's like it just seemed really easy to use, and I knew I wanted to upgrade. I knew I need something more powerful for video editing. All the industry who does video does it. They do Final Cut. I mean, that's just what they use. So I knew I wanted to learn that. I said that my computer was dying, so I, just decided to make the switch. So
see, I don't use Final Cut. I use I use honestly. Well, I shoot live to tape though. I don't do a lot of fancy video editing, so that's likely why. But honestly, I found iMovie to be on Mac OS X to be perfectly workable, and there are plenty of open source solutions for Windows or Linux. And call me crazy, but I absolutely loved the Movie Maker. Now Windows Live Movie Maker, I think they've moved it into their live suite of apps. I mean, so I'm playing devil's advocate a bit. So I mean, I don't want to like total fanboy out, and blow the perspective.
I'm not fanboying. I'm not fanboying. So yeah, that was the main reason, and I knew I needed to learn it for work. So I said, and that was the other driving motivator. I said, okay, so if I get this, I now am at a disadvantage because I don't have Windows on here. Then you mentioned Parallels in your email to me, and I heard about it. I saw it at Gnomedex, and I read up on it, and I said, actually, this would be perfect because I have two programs that I have to use. I have to use Quicken for Windows because the Mac version is crap.
Oh, it's junk.
Yeah, some kind of essentials garbage. It's
bad. QuickBooks, anything those Intuit seems to produce, just assume that it's 100% crap.
Yeah, and there's another editing program I needed to use for websites specifically because I do those for work. So when I looked at Parallels, I said, well, this might be a good solution because it's integrated right into the Mac OS. If I click Quicken right now, it pops up. I don't even know I'm in Windows 7. So I installed Windows 7 under that. Of course, in my video, I got some heat. Why didn't you just put it in Boot Camp? And I'm trying to explain to people.
Well, actually, I think Parallels, can't you access a Parallels machine from Boot Camp?
Or you can.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a way to answer that question in a seamless capacity.
Yeah.
If not Parallels, then I know VMware Fusion. You can set up a Boot Camp partition and then access that Boot Camp partition from within Mac OS X as a quote-unquote virtual machine, even though it's not. I don't know about Parallels. I'd have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah. So anyway, so I came up with those solutions, and I definitely had the buyer's remorse. I mean, this isn't cheap.
No.
It's not cheap. But you know what? The philosophy I started to think of, why do people buy BMWs over Chevys? Now, I'm not knocking Chevys.
Right.
But why do they buy the Mercedes? Sometimes they do it for class and for stature, and I understand that mentality. But sometimes people buy that kind of class because they pay more for the quality.
Sure.
We all do it. We eat at a better restaurant versus McDonald's all the time because we want a better quality.
Now, here's the funny thing. I had, at one point in time, I had an Acura RL that I was leasing, which was a luxury class vehicle. And I just thought, I'm overpaying for this. I mean, I just need to get around. I really, this is painful. And then recently, I guess be a little over a year ago, started to lease a Prius, and I love it. It's the best car I've ever had. At this point, even now, never spend over $35 at the pump to fill up that tank. On average, I'd fill it up just as regularly as I would, another car. I'm just getting far more out of it. And it's definitely not, considered the same type of vehicle. But you're right. Sometimes you pay a premium to get access to things. Is the question of what's going to be right for you? What's going to be a good fit for you?
Yeah, and then I have, like I said, most of my friends are Mac users, and consistently I see that they just don't have a lot of these problems. And I'm not going off the thing where Macs are virus free. They could, they can get viruses.
Oh, of course. Any
And
operating system can.
yeah, I've helped people who had viruses on them, so that I never used that train of thought. But
Of course, most of the malware payloads for Mac OS X come through porn sites, so if you're infected, that definitely says something about you.
Exactly. So it was, dude, it was a big change. I remember emailing you, and I was like, I don't know if I made the right decision, but I looked at.
But I didn't tell you. But Lamar, I don't think I told you what to do. Did I?
No.
All right.
I didn't want you to. Well, part of me did, but
Right. Make the decision for me.
Yeah. No, but I knew ultimately I had to make the right decision. And the other thing that came up is like, well, dude, why don't you just wait for a few months? Well, actually, this computer was getting to a point where I really couldn't wait. I know new iMacs are coming out. I'm very aware of that. I don't need everybody in the comments to tell me that.
They will.
However, as a rule, this is one of my tech rules. I don't like buying processors or things like that come out first gen. These things just came out. That's just my experience based on building them for years. So I wouldn't have been comfortable buying a new one anyway. I got this one for a great price.
Did you get it secondhand?
I bought a new. They had some rebates, and I had some discounts for working with the school districts.
Oh, education discount.
Yeah. And also I was able to throw another 8 gigs of RAM in here. I have 12 gigs of RAM in this thing.
Dang.
Probably. The thing is, if I had bought it at Apple, I bought this at Fry's Electronics. If I bought this at Apple, the memory is $400.
Yeah, it's crazy.
For the upgrade, I paid $110 for the upgrade. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, I know the Core i7s are gonna come out. I mean, the Sandy Bridge is gonna be all that, but this system is fast. So like, I'm not gonna have buyer's remorse in a few months. So I'm content. Like it's stylish. It's all in one body, and I have less cords. I know how you are about cords.
Oh no, yeah.
Because I was running 3 monitors, I was using up too much power. So
do you have a second monitor attached to? Because I made the recommendation.
Yeah.
Of attaching your second screen and then running Parallels or VMware full screen on the second monitor.
You know what? I decided not to use one of the other monitors. Well, 2 reasons. One, because it just looked gaudy on my desk. Because they just didn't match up. I'm really anal about that. But the other reason is the 27-inch actually gives me all the room I need. Because actually having the 3 monitors, I was pretty much just spoiling myself. I had one monitor open if I wanted to watch a movie in iTunes or have TweetDeck open.
Is it 1920 by 1600? Is that the resolution you're pushing?
This
somewhere there about.
No, this is 25.
Oh,
yeah, it's.
Or was it 2550? No, 23. It's been so long since I've looked at resolutions.
2560 by 1440.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's
right,
a lot of room. It's a lot of room. And I realized the 3 monitors were just kind of a luxury. I had it open I had one open just for TweetDeck and Skype. That was kind of ridiculous, but
you could use like multiple desktops too, or like Spaces. And I guess that's going to get even better with OS X Lion, which is slated to be out later this year. We don't know when at this point in time, but
yeah. And also, my friend told me about this app on the on iPad. I haven't installed it on the Mac yet. But you can through the Wi-Fi network, you can mirror.
Yeah, I've tried it before, but it's not without its glitches. I don't know if I'd ever recommend using the iPad as a secondary screen. You could, but performance-wise, trust me, once you get used to nice performance, it's kind of hard to take a step back.
Yeah,
and every single solution that I've seen for either mirroring or extending your display to like something like an iPad. It falls short in every way. Not worth the money, certainly. I wouldn't pay for it.
Yeah, I got it to. I probably waste my money on it, but he recommended it. I wanted to.
Oh, did you try it?
I have not tried it yet.
Okay.
I bought it sight unseen because I trust him.
Well, okay. Let me know what you think then, because maybe they've improved it since the last I looked at it. I know I had issues in running it specifically on a MacBook Pro and extending it. I had glitches out the wazoo, and it was like, it's not worth it right now. And performance just didn't seem. I didn't need the space that much, in order to do that. I could always run, let's say, TweetDeck full screen with a dedicated iOS app on the iPad rather than just a screen.
Yeah, exactly. It makes more sense. But dude, here's the bottom line, Chris. I've gotten to the point, I'm in my almost mid-30s, and I've been doing this for a long time with the PCs, and hell, I just wanted to try something new.
Yeah.
I mean, I get to I mean, I can come up with all the other excuses, and I don't think they're legitimate to me. But the bottom line is, I wanted to try something new. I do media almost 100%. These are fine tuned and for media, and the programs are great. I want to try something new. And what I guess what bothers me, I do videos every day like you do, so I'm kind of past the YouTube comments, but they still irk me that people tend to have an opinion about my money.
Right. Yeah. It's like the moment you start paying my bills is the very moment you can start telling me what to buy.
Yeah. They have no bearing on anything that I buy. If I could switch to anything I want to, and you shouldn't have any. You can have your opinion, but tell me that I don't buy something.
Yeah, that you're not a geek or you're somehow less intelligent than what you. Yeah, and Lamar, it's a reflection more on them and their own insecurities. These are the types of people who are just generally insecure. These are people who are not mature enough to handle someone else making a different decision. These are the same type of people who are, quite often getting in trouble in society for one reason or another. They just don't think. And unfortunately, they think that their life and their way of doing things is the way that everybody should do things.
Yeah, some of them, they sound almost jealous that they could, because they mentioned the price.
Right.
Look.
Right, they're jealous, right.
Yeah,
Wait, Lamar, would you rather spend $250 on 3 really crappy devices, and that would be $750, or $500 on a really good device? Which would you rather have?
Well, obviously, I don't want to go through multiple devices, so I'm going to get the better one.
I'm just saying, price is relative. It's not Lamar. So many of these very same people will say, overpriced. Yet these are the very same people who spend God knows how many hundreds of dollars on a single video card. So it's not about being overpriced. Price is relative.
Yes.
Period.
It's very relative.
End of story. I mean, it deflates the argument every single time.
Yeah. So that's one of the more ridiculous ones, where people are going to now unsubscribe because I'm not like them anymore.
Right.
The best one is, I'm unsubbing because you're turning into Chris Perillo.
Yeah, because we're twins. We look totally alike. Look, if we were walking down the street, you'd think, boy, they were born of the same mother. I mean, really.
Yeah, and you know what I said to him in the comments? I normally don't answer negative comments, but I was just in a mood today. I was like, don't let the door hit you on the way out, buddy. Am I going to lose sleep over your insecurity?
Right, and that's the problem. I point to, if you did the math, I've done far more videos about Windows and PCs than I have about Apples and Macs.
Actually, you have.
I challenge anybody to prove me otherwise. I know what I've done. So, unfortunately, these commenters can't see past the end of their nose long enough to realize the flaws in their own logic, let alone just casting aspersions and just relatively false accusations. I mean, these are unfounded, completely unfounded.
Yeah, I just have a problem with people total disrespecting you or hating you because of a product. It's a product, Chris.
But Lamar, they're kids.
It's a computer, and I said
Lamar, they're kids.
It's a computer.
They don't. But Lamar, they rely on mommy and daddy to buy the things for them. Unfortunately, they're not in the same position to have their own budget. And even if they are in the position to have their own budget, if someone gets upset at you for how you decide to spend your own money, again, it speaks more to an insecurity and a shortcoming in their persona and less about you.
Yeah.
It's always going to be that way.
Yeah. One thing I tweeted in response to that, I was like, their mentality is like the crabs in a barrel. One tries to climb out, and all the other crabs. This is true. All the other crabs grab them and pull them down. And I don't know, who knows why they really do that, but that's just how humans are. They see. I don't know if they see it as you're getting something better than them, so now you're on a different plane. You don't relate to us anymore.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's that.
Yeah, I mean, even down to the videos that I've recently done, or most recently, I should say, that have been Windows or PC centric, or specifically because I was talking to the people who manage the Microsoft Windows account on Twitter, and I asked them, I said, "What are your most commonly asked questions?" They gave them to me. I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, God, these are so commonplace. I mean, who wouldn't know about how to run as administrator. Who wouldn't know how to do this? Because I take it, for granted. I thought, yeah. I said, well, I might as well do a video. I know I'm probably going to take some heat for it, but these are commonly asked questions. I don't control that. These are just commonly asked questions.
The problem is the geeks who followed you for years feel that you need to be advanced in everything, not realizing that you have to appeal to not only the advanced, but the beginners. There are beginners coming into the market all the time who need a Chris Perillo to give those. And I thought those videos are great. I've watched them. And you need those kind of videos on how to do simple stuff. People search on YouTube all the time on how to do basic stuff. I know
all the time. I can't tell you. Every day that goes by, I get at least one email, much like yours. I'm on the fence. PC or Mac? What should I do? And they ask me, and I can't answer that question because everybody's got a different need. Even, recently someone was asking, should I get an iPad or a netbook? And I'm like, all right, I'm going to blog this, and I did. I posted it on the blog. I said, here's the outline. If this is what you're looking for, if this is what you want, here are the arguments for and against. And, I laid it out, and certainly I painted a picture from what he was saying. It seems that he wanted an iPad. Well, long story short, he changed his story after I had gone through the trouble of explaining or trying to, get that information out of him, what he was looking for. He changed his story and ended up going with the netbook. I'm like, well, wait a minute, you already made up your mind. Why'd you even bother asking me?
Right, well, yeah.
Most people will do that because they're looking for...
validation.
Validation. They don't want to feel like, they've made the wrong... We all get that way. Like, I got this... Should I have purchased this? Should I take it back? What should I do?
Well, I even asked you the same thing about this. I was like...
Yeah, but you hadn't made up your mind yet. I don't think... You may have wanted me to answer a certain way to validate what you thought, but you had not yet made up your mind. I believe that.
Yeah, not to the last minute. It was like literally almost like Saturday when I finally made the decision, okay, this stays. Because it could have gone back and I would have been happy. It wouldn't have mattered.
And all I did in that response, from my perspective, was to paint a picture of... You already know what it's going to be like if you're going down the hardware upgrade path, which you can, of course, do. You can spend money, get hardware upgrades, keep it moving along. I'm sure it'll be fine. Or if what you really needed was Windows compatibility, there was a way to keep the piece of hardware that you really liked. That would be the new one, which, of course, will be outdated in another 3 or 4 years. It's just the nature of the beast. Here's a way to, have your cake and eat it too. Yep. And it's not always going to play out that way, but there's certain solutions that unfortunately a lot of people rely on outmoded, kind of coming full circle, people who rely on outmoded arguments are really not doing themselves any favors. I see them probably as less of a geek because they're someone who only has knowledge in, let's say Windows versus Windows and Mac OS X. I mean, there's a big difference. Yes. I absolutely have a strong understanding of both platforms. I have an absolute strong understanding. Does that make me the ultimate geek in everything? Absolutely not. I don't want to be. I can't be. I can't spend my entire life just focusing on the latest processor upgrades, or the latest RAM upgrades, or the latest video card upgrades. I've got more to do with my life. And it's just the way I want to be. It's how I live. So... to me, if you haven't decided to expand your horizon, you're doing it for a reason. Same reason why I've tried Android at every single revision. Can't wait to see how WebOS plays out. I think those WebOS tablets are going to be awesome.
I love WebOS as a phone.
Oh,
They just didn't have the developers. It was an awesome phone. Like, seriously.
It
blows Android out to me.
I'm very deeply considering when what is it, the touchpad? HP touchpad? Is that what they're calling it? Just like the touchpad on the... Get kind of confused with all these product names. I'm actually considering buying a WebOS tablet. Just as I would spending money on, if they were ever to ship one, a Microsoft Windows Phone 7 or whatever they would call it at that day and age, a tablet that was created by Microsoft. Not a Windows tablet. I don't want one of those. I've played with them, not touch optimized, not interested.
Nope, I've been there, done that myself.
The idea that there's not enough software is just, someone had asked me, and I guess a couple other people have picked up or purchased DSIs. Or not DSI, sorry, the 3D one. What is it?
The 3DS.
3DS, thank you.
Yeah.
I've got all these gaming systems running through my head, and not being, a hardcore gamer, just a casual gamer. I'm not. I've got I still got a PSP that I haven't touched in God knows how long. I've got 3 different. Hang on, Lamar, you got to see this. I'm not kidding. I've got 3 different DSs, and I cannot think. I've got one of these. I've got a Game Boy. Well, I guess this isn't a DS. A Game Boy Advanced SP. I keep around for legacy reasons because I love playing Tetris. That's my favorite game. I've got that one. I've got this. I think this is the DSi, and then actually, I think this is the DSi. This is the DS, and then this is the DS. Yeah, this is the DSi, I believe. Anyway, I've got three of them, and I keep them around for legacy reasons. But honestly, most of the gaming that I do is on the device that I have with me. Most of the photography that I do is done on the device that I have with me, and more often than not, that's the iPhone or that's an iOS device. And I keep looking. I'm hoping and waiting, and I'm seeing great competition start to enter the field with some amount of promise, but it never stands up. It just and there was a series done on roughlydrafted.com that I thought just made amazing comparisons with everybody else's way of executing versus Apple's way of executing. And again, spent my money on this one, spent my money on this one, spent my money on this one. It's not that, I don't know what to do. I don't want to sell them because I think I could probably sell it for like $5. I'm like, well, I might as well keep it at that point.
Might as well keep, yeah, exactly.
So there's the question, when this is worth $5, really, that speaks more to the way that they're developing their platform, compared against the way everybody else is developing their platform.
It's funny you mentioned the gaming because I have to say, I love my Xbox and I play on it all the time. I even got rid of the Wii and PS3 because I rarely played them. I just didn't.
Really? Wait, you had a PS3?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm holding on to it just if only for the Blu-ray.
Yeah, you know what? I'm trying the whole streaming downloading thing. I know. I've gone that route.
Oh, you mean like
with Netflix?
Okay, I got it.
So, I just kind of wanted to be minimal with some things, but I have to tell you, since I have this iPad, I've heard people say this about this device. I did not know that it would consume me as much as it did. It's so immersive. Just even watching videos. Actually, one of your videos was the first YouTube video I watched on it. And it was so good looking. It was just like it really just had me enraptured. And the gaming on here, that's what I have not touched my Xbox in about a week. Not because I'm just trying to use this exclusively. I'm just drawn more to these type of Plants versus Zombies or these Angry Birds and some of these other games.
Casual games.
Because they're always with you. So you asked me about an iPhone. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for me because then I can still take these games with me.
Sure.
We'll see.
Well,
I like Android, but
I think Android still has its place. It is, I think.
Game.
Well, and it's maturing at a very fast pace. It's still trying to define itself and be itself. And I hold true to that. I mean, I'm not gonna say that it's any different. I think I said this about Android. When I took a look at some initial tablets that were out there with rather subpar hardware attached. And if I'm paying the same type of premium, I certainly demand more. And premium in the sense that if I'm spending money on something, I want it to be as equal to the leading experience. And as far as tablets go, the leading experience,
or it should be less.
Right. Exactly. Or it should be less. And I've argued that Android users should be demanding that the tablets that run the Android operating system should be cost or should be set at a price point that is far less than let's say the $500 iPad. Mm-hmm. I mean, just because anybody can develop an Android tablet, so they will. That makes it more of a commodity, meaning you can't really drive the price point higher than a market leader. And whether people like it or not, Apple it's the market leader of today's computer.
Yeah, and some of the recent Android stuff just kind of rattled me. They've had the malware attacks with the app. There's a price for being open, and as they define it as open, because as we saw recently with the honeycomb thing, they're starting to.
They're locking it down. What, Lamar? Come on. Again, right. I knew this stuff, and I was saying this stuff God knows how many months ago. I mean, people get mad at me when I say it, But if you fast forward to, months later, oh, I guess Chris was right. But they'd never say that. They never admit it.
They had to start closing it up because there's where the fragmentation, I don't know why people didn't see this. I saw it
Lamar, preaching to the choir.
So
just gonna drink my unboxing juice and.
Yeah, they're gonna be like Apple in no time. They don't have a choice. They don't have a choice but to get to that model because it's too dangerous for them otherwise. These manufacturers are all over the place. I'll give you one example. You get one Android tablet, and I'm seriously not trying to not trying to knock Android, but you get one manufacturer has the buttons one way. You get another manufacturer has the buttons the other way. There's hardly any seamless. They're trying to be unique. They put their own cover flow type of stuff on it. And I get frustrated, but that's why I bought the pure Nexus one because I hated all this extra stuff.
Lamar, trust me, you're absolutely preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
It's one thing, to just say, I'm just going to buy the latest and greatest, right? Because unfortunately, there's a latest and greatest every other week, and it's difficult to keep up with all these trends.
Especially with Android, it's like every other week there's a new phone.
There's a new one. It's a new best thing. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it actually irritates me when that.
it can be irritating, right? And you can't cover everything. You can't certainly look at something and say, "Oh, this is awesome," when in fact it's not awesome. I've been very careful about how I present something. For example, the C910, which I think you're using the Logitech C910 webcam.
Not currently, but I have.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Am I coming across? I'm coming across in a 4:3 aspect ratio.
Yes.
Aren't I? Yeah, I think it's a limitation on the Skype for the Mac. Skype, unfortunately, has fallen short on every expectation for Mac usability on every front.
It's much better on the PC.
They've capitulated on that too. They've even made a contest for designing new Skype styles for Mac OS X because what they've currently decided has been nasty. Either way, I put it out there that the C910 just is a great piece of hardware with an unfortunate, component that is software that just cripples it. And I was on the phone today, as a matter of fact, with Logitech, one of their PR reps. Yeah, okay. No, their PR rep reached out. I ran through 10 things that they could do to improve their software, and they've already told me, based on my feedback, they've already improved 3. So it's not... when I throw things out there, personally, this is me, when I throw things out there, it's not for the sake of saying, oh, it sucks, blah, blah, blah. I try to provide a path of saying, here's how it could be better. And without doing that, you end up, seeming more like a troll. That may be difficult to do in certain respects within a tweet, 140 characters. But, if you don't, compete with honesty and, realize that everybody has a bias in coming into something, you're not doing yourself any favors because you're lying to yourself, or you're not doing a community at large any favors because they're looking to you because they trust your opinions.
Yeah, I remember talking to Matt Hartley, one of your writers, and he, it was one year, I forget when it was, you were like blasting Dale back in, just each tweet, slamming them, and I was like, what is he doing? And what he told me is like, one thing you have to realize about Chris, he's not trolling. Chris knows 100% what he's doing when he sends out tweets like that. Because you were trying to get attention of specific people to get an action done.
To get it fixed.
And I thought that's what you were doing with the Logitech. So, you know it's 100% what you're doing. It's not just emotional, like a teenager just spouting off at the, on Twitter.
And that's the thing.
You were trying to get a response, and it worked.
I took my time to communicate with Logitech. I appreciated the invite. I said, yeah, absolutely, I'll talk to your product lead. And I did. I said, you need to fix this, a laundry list of things. And I could hear him writing them down and said, yep, based on your feedback, we fixed this, and this, based on an email thread. I did the same thing with Windows Vista, believe it or not. Believe it or not, I caught my lumps. I cared about the product so much and wanted to care about the product so much. Because anybody who would just sit there and say, oh, it's great and it's awesome, you're not doing that, product or service any favors.
So you created Windows 7 then, right?
No, I'm not taking credit for Windows 7. That's the funny thing about the Windows 7 ads. It's like, I've heard, what is it? I don't know. Windows 7 is my, what the hell is it again?
Windows 7 is my idea.
But yeah, that was it, my idea, yeah. No one ever wants to take credit for Vista. But it's 7, that's my idea. Well, the funny thing is, with Vista, I was talking with Jim Alchin about some of the shortcomings, specifically in UI. And a lot of, not everything, but a lot of what I provided in terms of feedback actually made it into the shipping product of Vista. Because I took the time to tell them what they could do better. And I'm telling you, Vista was a better product because of the feedback that I wasn't afraid to provide. Despite the fact that I took my lumps. Despite the fact. So when I sit here and say Android's getting there, it's not there yet, that doesn't make me an Android hater. That doesn't make me a detractor. I will tell the product developer how to do something better. I did the same thing with Amazon in their first generation Kindle. 3 of the things that I gave to Amazon after that first generation Kindle shipped, 3 of the product suggestions that I made it into Amazon's Kindle 2. 3, and they were pretty big. Yeah. I'm not taking credit for that. I'm just saying that had I not come forth and said something like that, they may have been led down a completely different path.
No, there's a difference when people make comments, and so a lot of people don't know how to give their opinion correctly. So they come off as
troll.
Rude and, as trolling. But if you're going to tell me that I'm doing something wrong in my videos, or you're going to tell me, give me a solution. And
right.
I said that to bosses too. I said it to my principal when I worked as a teacher. Like, if you're going to come in here and slam me about this, then you need to tell me how to do it the correct way. I've always been about that. So it's criticism is good if you give a solution. Otherwise, I'm going to keep making the same mistake. You have not helped me at all.
Yeah, not just a solution, but a workable solution. So what may work for this person may not work for another person. This is why it's impossible. I mean, and you probably get the same kind of questions now too. Like, what should I buy? Should I buy this or this?
I get it every day, man.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, dude. I'm not going to buy it for you. I'm like, you're the one who's got to use it. You have to decide based on so many different parameters. This is why I don't even like answering these questions. And I get attacked on it all the time. Your videos aren't what they used to be. I'm like,
that's actually.
I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. What do you want?
You know what, Chris? Thank God your videos are not the same as they used. They're not. You would be way behind the times.
Oh, right.
People are supposed to evolve.
Upgrade to Windows XP. It's awesome. Actually, when I started videos, Windows 98 hadn't even shipped. That's how long I've been doing videos. Wow. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't have that same perspective. No. That's how long I've been doing the stuff that I've been doing.
Yeah, so you have a right to do what you do.
Well, I don't know if I'd say a right. I'm just saying I've got a little more perspective on it. Yeah, than the average person who throws it out there. And honestly, I'll pay attention for a little while more to a comment that's made in video when someone puts their face in front of a camera, because I can see whether or not they're actually cogent with their thoughts and clear and communicative and can actually get their point across without sounding like a moron. I'd rather pay attention to a video than I would even a random comment, because a random comment, unfortunately, is just, you get lost in the fray. Unless a name pops up over and over and over again, it just kind of gets lost in the noise. And when it's not constructive, you're not doing anybody any favors. Nobody, including yourself.
Yeah.
But
so, Chris, I got to say, as far as the Mac thing, I do have very quickly, I got this new appreciation because, I would do my jokes. And no, I never hated Mac, but I definitely didn't like them. But I have a new appreciation because no matter what, you're going to get called. I have a new appreciation for calling people fanboys and all this, because now I'm getting it. It does,
of course.
Even though I say that I use both and I need to learn both, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I've already turned to the dark side, as everybody tells me.
Doesn't matter.
So yeah, I'm just going to be me. I'm not going to stop. It doesn't mean I'm going to sing Apple's praises. When Apple screws up, you're going to hear about it. And I have slammed Android. I've slammed Windows. I've slammed Apple. I slam myself when I mess up. It doesn't matter. So I don't know why people get it. So I'm trying to get past those comments, because
it's difficult. To be, people ultimately want to put you in a box where they're comfortable in keeping you.
Yes.
And so once they've got you figured out, the moment you shift, it's less about your decision and more about them projecting their decisions onto you. Yeah. And that, again, I'll go back to it. This speaks more to an immaturity for that other person, and really an insecurity, replete with insecurities. Yeah, I wouldn't worry. Okay. It can, admittedly, it can cut to the quick. But it's still something to keep in mind that when someone throws it out there, the best thing I can do, when someone says something that's rather trollish is, and I've probably gone overboard with this, but I'll respond to them with just as much cynicism and wit as they've likely, let's say, said, you're an idiot, Y-O-U-R. Well, like, what about my idiot? Well, they look stupid, not me. I mean, it just happens. Oh, I see it over. I'm like, God, okay, all right. I'm glad I'm not you. That's all I'm going to say. I'm glad I'm not you. Because instead of just leaving comments, I'm actually producing content and furthering the conversation. Which, unfortunately, is more than I can say for a lot of people out there. There will be this many people creating the content, a sliver, and this many people leaving commentary on the comment. And unfortunately...
I would tell people, okay, show me how to do it better, and I never get a response.
Oh, of course not. Yeah, of course not.
They'll say,
I don't have the time.
To do it.
Yeah, I don't have the time. Well, just shut up. Put up or shut up, dude. You should buy this. With your money? Okay.
Yeah.
It's it's always going to be that way. Okay, so now your iPad, your Mac, you're tempted by the next iPhone even though we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, the Apple TV.
Apple TV, I forgot about that one. Boy!
Well, the iPhone is reportedly, from what I'm reading, may be delayed to September, October, just for the Verizon people. So I'm tempted to even get something...
Oh, you're thinking about the iPhone 4 in the interim.
I'm thinking because, I do videos on this, that camera is amazing.
Well, that's a good camera.
I have been lusting after the iPhone 4 camera for months. My Nexus has the worst camera ever.
Even the Evo 4G has a ghastly camera. I caught so much flack. I'm like, dude, this is not a killer. It's horrible.
I saw those videos, and even with...
Right! Even with proof positive that it was inferior, I still caught flack. I'm like, don't get pissed at me. I'm not the one who made the product.
The one thing I didn't like that you did is that the next video you tried to find good things about it, and you were... I was like, dude, you should have just stuck to your... you should have just stuck to that video.
Even in pointing out the redeeming features of that particular product, I still caught... It doesn't matter. You can't win. You can't win. You cannot win.
Here, I guess my thing to say to the audience or whoever's listening is that, I have learned this the hard way. You just that age-old thing. You don't judge a book by its cover. You shouldn't judge anything without trying it. I mean, obviously, you don't try drugs. You could judge.
Right. Yeah.
You judge that. But, if you're in a position to, I want to expand my knowledge. I've been in a closed box. Why can I not be allowed to expand it? I want to expand it to Apple products because they're everywhere. I will be an idiot not to... I mean, I'm at work and they're asking me about Mac stuff. I'm at a school. Can you fix this? No, I don't use Mac. And I look like an idiot. I do. I'm the tech consultants, no matter how that turn... You're expected to know everything.
That's right.
And it's a shame that it's like that, but you're expected to know.
It's the reason why I still deal in the world of Macs, PCs, Android devices. WebOS, I think, is going to gain a massive amount of popularity if HP plays their cards right. I think HP has a chance to give Apple a run for their money. Again, if they play their cards right, for the position that they're in. They can control the hardware and the software, something that only Apple could have bragged about until that acquisition. Every geek owes it to themselves, he or she, to keep their knowledge base as wide as possible. Without necessarily losing themselves in all of that, in those decisions they make, and in the recommendations that they might make. I mean, my dad will ask me, should I get a Mac or a PC? I don't know necessarily how to answer that question. I know I have to provide the support for him, so I know that's going to factor into it. But if he's not happy with it, I've been trying to switch my parents over to Google Docs for years, and they won't do it. Okay. They won't do it. So it's all right, well, then that's... I can't keep beating a dead horse. If they're not going to do it, they're not going to do it. You've got, so that's got to play into, as much of a decision as anything else. When you know what someone wants and what someone needs, and it's not even what someone can afford, because, trust me, the support costs add up with everything. Whether it's, being proactive about, malware of any type, or being proactive about hardware support and software support. There are all sorts of costs, that go well beyond the initial cost of a product or a service.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can go get a PC right now with some cool specs for $400. I absolutely can.
Dude, they're practically giving them away.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I mean, I've walked into a store. I'm not going to mention any names, but I'm like, damn, these things are cheap. I mean, this is almost an impulse buy. Like, $300. I'm like, damn, for that, that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
I don't know, but then again, you gotta understand, when I first started buying PCs, they were like, a lot more than just a few $100s.
Oh, I know, because I built them and sold them. I mean, my mom bought one for me. It was near $3,000, and I was giving her a discount.
Yeah. Yeah, no, these things used to be really...
At cost, it was that much for what you wanted.
They could be expensive. So they're getting cheaper and cheaper and more accessible. Ultimately, it's going to boil down to making the decision that's right for you. I think you're doing your community a favor by being honest with them and direct with them. And if they don't like that, Lamar, they're not your community. I honestly, I don't count a troll or someone who will hate on anything that I do as someone who I want in my community at all. Yeah. I want them to tell me when I'm doing something incorrectly, like your volume is low, which I know can be low because I've got a camera that is a little further away right now. You need to, can you adjust this? Can you adjust this? That is not being a troll. That's being very helpful. It's saying I'm doing something that I could be doing better. But if someone is trolling you and hating and unsubscribing, let them do it, dude. They're not worth your time, your energy.
People want to claim to be friends. They weren't friends to begin with.
They're not friends to begin with.
Yeah.
Anybody would stop being your friend because you make a different decision in your You bought a what kind of refrigerator? What the hell's wrong with you? Don't you know? Don't you know? I'm unsubscribing.
Yeah, I was like, that will baffle me till the end of times, but I'm not going to stop doing it.
Because it's an insecurity on their part, not yours.
Yeah, it's not my problem. It's not. It's laughable at the comments. I mean, I like the comments because it's just going to break my video up higher. So
right, exactly. The more comments that come in, they don't realize. Trolls don't realize. They actually add fuel to the fire instead of taking it away. I'm like, you know the secret. It's not a big deal. All right, anyway, I should probably cut it off. We're about an hour 15.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so.
Dude, this is... Besides in Texas, this is the longest time we had a chance to talk. So
probably,
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that. What was it? Open Camp? Was it?
Open Camp.
Yeah, Open Camp.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
So, thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity.
Well, because it gives you a chance to kind of expand upon your decision and to kind of talk about these trends in general.
It actually helped to talk about it because now I feel more confident in it. I really wanted to talk to you, but I just know that, we just couldn't connect them. So.
Sure.
I'm 100% content in my decision. I'm not going to look back with any regrets. And, if this is going to be a great learning experience. I get to learn new products. I get the iPad, the Apple TV, it's so much. It's like I'm learning everything for the first time.
Yeah.
I felt so young.
Yeah. Trust me, you're going through the same thing we all did, dude. We all did. We all went through the same thing. It's so funny. And
when other products come out that are good, the BlackBerry Playbook or the Web OS, I want to try those too. I'm not close.
I know the Playbook. I think has got problems even before it launches. It doesn't know what it wants to be yet. The fact that it's going to ship with support for Android apps spells disaster for their development program for what is it? QNX, I think is the platform they acquired. Mm-hmm. It's going to be tricky. I think WebOS is going to have my prognostication. WebOS is going to have a much easier time in the marketplace because of HP's, not just their Gravitas, but with what we've seen from them before, as well as the strength of the platform as it stands, it stood even before the acquisition.
Yeah.
WebOS will give iPad more run for its money than I think Android can in the short term.
And you know what? That's a good thing.
Oh,
because
yeah.
At the end, the consumers are going to win. It's going to put pressure on Apple to do something even better.
Competition is good.
It's going to be a good thing. So hey, Chris, I would love to, guest star occasionally in your channel. If you still like to have me one day, throw a video out there.
Yeah, when you do something controversial.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because getting a Mac is so controversial.
No, that's not controversial.
Secretly they're going into the Apple Store and they're going, nah.
I was doing the same thing. People are like, "Why are you?" I'm taking daily booth pictures in the Apple Store. Like, why are you in the Apple Store? I'm like, I'm scouting. I didn't tell them, but I'm scouting it out. I was interested. Come on, I'm a geek.
Right.
Of course I'm interested.
Dude, of course. Of course.
What geek wouldn't be?
You're not any less... In fact, I'd say you're more of a geek because now you've expanded your horizon. You've opened Pandora's box, so to speak, which was a great Microsoft game. One of my favorite games that Microsoft ever produced, which you probably never played.
I never played that.
It's an old game.
You're showing your age. Chris.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Lamar. Appreciate that.
It's always good talking to you, my friend.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, dude.